Coming up on this week's episode of the Irreverent Nerds podcast, we review the film Shazam! Fury of the Gods. We begin with our instant review recorded in the parking lot of the theater, spoiler-free, and then conclude with our deep dive recorded the following day, which will be spoiler-filled. Stay tuned for that and more right after this. I'm Richard.
And I'm Will.
And together we're
The Irreverent Nerds. Bum, bum, bum.
Nerds. We are here. I know it looks a little weird, but we're trying a different setup. So the Blue Yeti worked really well for our last outdoor recording session. So we are here. You can probably tell this is literally the roof of Will's car. He has a small car.
Nice girl. It's nice. Tell Richard it's a red Yeti.
A red Yeti. That's true. It is. It is a red Yeti. They make like silver Yetis and red Yetis and white Yetis, which really makes sense.
Which makes
like,
a lot of sense.
Why are they not all? Why are they not all white? I'd like to know. 'Cause yeah, aren't Yetis supposed to be white?
I think so.
Maybe not. Brown. Maybe some brown Yetis. That's not. Yeah. Anyway. So we just got out of the theater, seeing Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So this is our instant review, and we're going to do a deep dive tomorrow. Actually, we're going to record that, but tonight, right after getting out, we wanted to give our first thoughts. And just like last time, this is going to be as spoiler-free as we can make it. There we go. That's better. So yeah,
Spoiler-free. I love Tawny in it. Tawny was great.
Tawny? You lost me.
The tiger.
The tiger.
Never mind. He's from the comic books.
Oh.
I'm joking. You said no spoilers, so I'm talking about something that didn't actually kind of happen in the film. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. So
These are not scripted.
Was it a cameo?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. A cameo that didn't matter.
Yes.
Speaking of cameos that didn't matter, they spoiled the Wonder Woman cameo in the trailer before this came out. I'm like, DC, come on, you didn't need to do that. Like, what the heck? It's like it totally took the power out of the scene. Like, she shows up, but you know she's gonna show up. It's like, you know she's coming. Yeah, and that's not a spoiler because again, it was in the trailer. So, but we won't tell you what she does because that would be a spoiler. But the fact that she shows up, DC already spoiled it for you. So, unless you're one of those people that didn't watch any trailers beforehand and didn't look at Instagram, or any of that. First thoughts. How many nerd hats would you give this, Will, out of 5?
I don't know. I liked it. I'm going to say 3.
Okay.
2.5, 3. What about you?
Well, the first one I would definitely give a 4. This one is, in my opinion, not as good as the first one. So I'd give it I think 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah, 3.5. Like, I enjoyed it, but it's not like top caliber film, I don't think. But yeah, it was enjoyable though. It was enjoyable. But yeah, not as good as the first one though, in my opinion. How about you? Did you feel like the first one was better?
I felt like this one was better, but to be completely honest, it's been years since I've seen the first one, so I don't know.
I didn't get all the way through it. I did restart. I think I might have seen it twice the first time around, but I did restart it actually just today. I had a free trial for HBO Max that I'm using, so I got through I think maybe the first 30-45 minutes of it and was reminded, which I remember liking it when I saw it before, but yeah, I was reminded of why I liked it. And interestingly though, the one weakness the first one did have was the villain, because I had no memory whatsoever of the villain. Like, I had even forgotten that Mark Strong played the villain until I looked it up. Yeah, like, I had forgotten he was even in the movie. So, like, and that's not necessarily his fault. that was a ball dropped, I think, from the first one, which is why
Right.
I definitely wouldn't give the first one any more than a 4.
Well, I definitely didn't remember the villain. I remember the caterpillar at the end.
Yeah.
That can't be a spoiler. That movie's been out for a very long time now. But I forgot the villain. I just know the villain was there with the caterpillar.
Yeah, so since this is spoiler-free, we're not going to tell you whether Mark Strong's character, I don't even remember his character's name now.
I don't know
I feel
either.
bad. Thaddeus. We're not going to tell you at this point whether he makes an appearance in this movie or not, but the villains, obviously, that you know are going to be in it, you know, are played by Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu. And how'd you feel about their performance in the film? Like, did you feel like their characters were written well, performed well?
I love Lucy Liu and Xena.
Oh, yeah?
I'm sorry, joke. Yeah, I think that...
Was she actually in Xena?
No.
Okay, never mind.
I was thinking that's Lucy Lawless.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But that was a joke. Anyway,
No, it's a good nerd joke, actually. You know, I missed it, but it was a good one. Anyway, continue.
And my train derailed. Okay, so yeah, I thought that they were good. I mean, we didn't really flesh the villains out in this film all that much, but they played their roles good. The actresses did. Played them well. Correct grammar.
Yeah, they both got a chance to ham it up a little bit, which I feel like a lot of actors enjoy playing villains because, you know, especially movies like this, they get to like play up over the top, like Shakespearean level, like, "Forsooth, you have taken my power.
Forsooth.
Now I shall destroy you." No. So you saw they did a decent job, but not. It didn't like grab you. You're like, wow, these villains are so amazing and complex.
No. No, they were not complex.
Yeah. No, they weren't, honestly. They were. I mean, because it's Helen Mirren. I'm not as big of a fan of Lucy Liu as an actress in general. I think Helen Mirren has more chops, which Lucy would probably agree with, I would think. But yeah, Helen brought a certain level of gravitas to the role, but the role itself was it almost felt a bit more like a plot device, a little bit. So yeah, that was a little disappointing, and I will say in general, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think Marvel has done a better job in general with fleshing out their villains, or with having memorable villains, especially villains you can sympathize with, you know, like Loki and even Thanos.
What was that Christian Bale's character in Thor?
Yeah, the God
Love and
Butcher.
Thunder? Yeah, the God Butcher.
Yeah, him too.
I feel like he had a different name, but yeah, the God Butcher.
Like, you can sympathize with him too. I mean, his daughter died, and I think that's where maybe DC, with the exception maybe of the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie, like, DC has not done a great job of making you sympathize. I think they tried to do that with the Batman and like the Riddler's character, how he's like an orphan and was picked on. I don't know if that quite landed, but they did make an attempt, at least, you know, at making him more complex, and I think they came closest to pulling it off with him, I think. But yeah, Marvel does seem to do a better job, at least in their films anyway. At least, maybe to be more precise, their recent films. Not all of them, though, I will say. Not all of them. Let's see. How'd you feel about the aesthetics of the film? Like the CGI, the music, you know, kind of the ambiance?
I liked it. I think. I remember the dragon. Oh no, that's a spoiler.
Is it? Was it in the trailer?
Did we get a clear? I didn't watch the trailers, to be honest, so I didn't even know Wonder Woman would be in it. Was the dragon clearly seen in the trailers?
I don't remember.
I know the dragon was in the trailers.
Yeah, but they don't go into, which we can avoid that here.
Right.
We don't need to go into detail about what the dragon is, but there is a dragon. I mean, in there.
I liked how they depicted the dragon with the special effects.
That was pretty cool, and I think in general it looked good. And like we saw it, we didn't see it in IMAX, but the theater we go to, even their standard screens are pretty big, like especially for like first weekend showings.
Yeah.
So we got to see it in pretty big format, and it was enjoyable. Yeah, it was good. It didn't, the CGI wasn't like some of the movies, like you want to see a popcorn film with great special effects, and you're like, well, I wasted that $12 or $13 or whatever.
That was only on the popcorn.
Yeah, exactly. And others are like, okay, they did a good job with this. Yeah, it's definitely better than the debacle that is Aquaman. Special effects were... Don't get me started. Like, I wish this would have been so awesome if they had gone, which almost nobody goes to the same, well, maybe it's fair to say nobody goes to the same level as James Cameron in regards to production quality. Like, he always ramps it up with every movie he makes. But imagine if Aquaman had actually done, like, underwater, like, motion capture, like Avatar did. It would have been so much cooler.
Well, that would have been interesting.
Instead of the... it was bad CGI underwater. Did not... Like, Finding Nemo, which was made 20 years ago, had better underwater CGI than Aquaman. I'm sorry, but it did. Because Pixar knows their shit. And they put time and loving care, TLC, into that. Yeah, DC did not. They shit the bed on the underwater special effects. I'm sorry, but they did. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry. DC, do better. You can do better. We know you can. There's another Aquaman movie coming up, so you better do better in this one.
That's right.
At least I think there is. Have they canceled it? I honestly don't know.
No.
With Gunn and Saffron, I don't know what's going on right now.
You never know. They could just have a tax write-off.
Yeah.
I just picked.
Oh, yeah. Didn't they just cancel, was it Batwoman?
Batgirl?
Batgirl?
I heard it was terrible, though, but yeah.
Oh, well, maybe that's why they canceled it. It's like, this should not see the light of day. I guess we'll never know, though. Unless they release it on a DVD later or something.
No, they can't do that since they wrote it off as a tax credit. It may never be seen at all.
It may never be seen.
Not even for free now.
Like 10 years from now, it's going to pop up on YouTube, like a black market copy or something.
Ooh,
like,
I would watch it.
I would too. Yeah, why not? So getting back to Shazam. So, yeah, I thought they did a good job in special effects as well. The music, it was okay. The music was okay. There was nothing memorable. Like, I didn't catch a theme that was memorable, which I don't honestly remember that for the first one either. It's like, you know, I feel like music either needs to really grab you where you, like John Williams' music, like it not only complements the films well, but it has its own life, you know, it has its own themes, or it needs to be almost invisible where it supports the theme, like, but the other two where it's like overpowering to the point where it distracts or detracts from the film. Obviously you don't want to have that happen, but you also don't want it to be invisible. I mean, unless that's a very intentional, and this is kind of middle of the road, which Christoph Beck did the music, and Christoph does a good job. Like, he's done the music for, I think, both of the Frozen movies. He did the instrumental music for both of the Frozen films. Now that I think about it, I do hear some similarities between this and that.
Richard's really done his homework.
But well, no, I just recognize his name because my daughters have watched Frozen like probably 100 times. So by now, like, I've seen who does the music. It's like, oh, that's Christoph Beck. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I do like both of those films myself, especially the second one. But my daughters have watched them so many times.
So many times. What about Olaf's Frozen Adventure?
Yep, that one too.
Oh, that one too?
Yeah. And was it the
Lego? Did they do Lego?
Oh yeah, they like the Lego one too. Yep. And there's another one too. There's a Frozen Fever, and then there's like Olaf like retell. It's actually pretty funny because Josh Gad is great, but they he retells the Disney stories. Have you seen that one? Yeah, it's actually
Started watching that one.
it's hilarious. Like again, Josh Gad is hilarious as Olaf. He got his big break on Broadway actually.
Cool.
Playing
cool.
in the Book of Mormon.
Oh my.
Yep. Yeah, it was a very popular Broadway show, from what I understand. I believe it was critical of Mormonism, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was.
Anyway, how did I get on that?
I don't know. It's great.
So getting
Josh Gad.
Josh Gad. Oh, they should find a way to bring him into the MCU, or he would fit well in the MCU. Like they need to find a way to bring. Hey,
that's true.
Disney, Marvel Studios, find a way to bring Josh Gad. Like he's already doing stuff for Disney, so why not find a way to bring him into the MCU somehow? Because Josh Gad is great. So, oh yeah, and also let's see who else. The entire cast of New Girl, bring them in somehow, because New Girl is also great. My wife and I like that show.
I haven't seen that.
It's hilarious. Yeah. Anyway, so what about Zachary Levi's performance in this one? How'd you feel about it overall? Like,
well, I have to admit that I've never liked him as the titular superhero.
Titular?
Yes, titular. It's not titular?
It's titular, but you didn't feel comfortable saying it that way, did you?
I was saying it wrong all these years.
Yeah, it's titular.
Mostly in my head, but titular. Titular.
The titular.
Is this not how you pronounce title?
The other way does sound...
Titular.
Well, I mean, we are mildly inappropriate, so why not, the titular character.
But, no, he did a good job.
Say titular title character 5 times fast. No, the titular title character. Anyway.
He did a good job. In my mind, Captain Marvel, a.k.a. Shazam, should be more of the scout, you know what I'm saying? Help me here. Well, anyway, I see him differently in the comics than I do in the film. That's all I'm trying to say. Boy Scout, yeah.
Like Supermanish.
Yeah. I guess you can't have... I guess they needed to make him different than Superman. That's fair. But that's what I see him as whenever he's in an animated feature or the comic books, which I haven't read a lot of those comic books. So the actor playing him in these movies really makes him more... And it makes sense why they would do it, but it really makes him more childish, not childlike, but childish.
Teenager-ish.
So it's kind of awkward and uncomfortable. So instead of being a big rube that's just a bit innocent because he's actually just a child, we have... I guess it's more realistic that way.
17. Because, yeah, you would still...
It's more realistic that he acts like a grown man who acts like a teenager is more realistic than the depiction that I'm used to, I guess. But,
oh, yeah, because he wouldn't just, magically act like a 40-year-old man, if he was... Or a 35-year-old man, or however old Superman is. He wouldn't just magically act like that, you're a teenage boy. So, see, that does make sense. Yeah, I felt like he was a little manic in this one, like right on the edge of manic, like almost too much energy, and it felt like it was a little more than, maybe I'm wrong, I'll finish rewatching the first one before I deep dive hopefully, but it felt like it was a little more than the first film, but that being said, I think he did a good job, and he hit the emotional moments pretty well, but it is still hard for me not to, which I'm sure Zach is trying to overcome that in some ways, but it is still a little hard for me not to see Chuck, granted a little more ripped version of Chuck. Did you ever watch Chuck?
It's been a long time. I didn't make the connection.
Yeah, which I enjoyed that show. Like, my wife and I got on a Chuck kick for a little bit, and I don't think we made it all the way through the series, but yeah, it was enjoyable.
That's the one about the office, like the Best Buy-ish.
Yeah.
Office Depot, whatever, employee that finds out that his business is really an underground spy thing or something.
Yeah, or at least there's
I thought so.
People working there that are part of that. And then he gets like sort of superpowers or enhancements, maybe. He gets like enhancements somehow. I forget how he got it.
He had longer hair back then, though, didn't he?
Yeah. But no, like he does a solid job, I think, in this. And again, he is trying to play, a 17-year-old boy. But yeah, I think occasionally it felt a little on the manic side, like kind of edging up to that. Just like too much, a little too much energy to it sometimes. But overall, it was still pretty good. Yeah, honestly, both he and Freddie have kind of that manic energy. It reminds me of Malcolm in the Middle, actually. Have you ever seen Malcolm in the Middle?
Yeah. I've definitely seen more of that.
Reminds me of kind of that energy, which maybe that's what they were going for. So like, it's good in small doses, but if you're at that level the whole film, then it's like, okay, chill out, chill out. And I feel like they were both Zachary Levi as Shazam, and then Freddie as himself. I think they were both kind of at that level for a little bit too much of the film, at least 2/3 of the film, and that got a little annoying after a while. I was like, okay, let's. That's more of a directorial thing where you don't have the narrative reprieve. Like, you need to have an ebb and flow to that kind of energy, otherwise you abuse it, and it just it gets annoying eventually. At least I got a little bit annoyed with it eventually. I don't know how you felt.
Well, I think that's the reason why I don't prefer the actor in that role. Maybe that's not his fault. He was told to play the character that way. But yeah. I mean, I think that we're talking about the same thing. The manicness,
it's like high energy all the time.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, not all teenage boys are like that. Maybe that's like a stereotype they're trying to... Well...
I mean, the kid who plays Billy Batson is calmer.
Yeah, actually he is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just that, like, when he gets...
See, I really like the actor that plays Billy Batson.
He gets like, too hyped up when he's in, like, Shazam form or whatever. Maybe. I don't know. But no, I was looking at... I think I was reading an article yesterday about Zachary Levi's, like, body transformation. Henry Cavill, I think, was already ripped, but he wasn't as ripped as he got for Superman. Like, he stepped it up to another level. Whereas Zachary Levi, he's always been in good shape. Like, he's never been fat that I've ever seen, but he's never been, like, ripped and pumped up. So he got big. So I was reading about his workout regimen before the first film, and apparently there is some padding in the suit, but he said that's pretty standard. Like, even Henry Cavill, there's like some padding in the suit, but for the most part it's like all him. Same with Henry Cavill. I mean, like, you've seen him without it, so the dude's like, he's like, how do you lift your hands? Like, too much muscle.
Well, I've seen
I fly
worse.
like this. That's why he flies like this, because he can't lift his arm like this. Excuse me.
Not everybody can be Christopher Reeves. Dun, 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 dun.
May he rest in peace.
Yes.
Yes.
Moment of reverence.
Still a great Superman, in my opinion. Yeah. Good old Christopher. Of course, he's my first Superman, so.
As was mine.
Yeah. My second that I ever saw was Dean Cain.
Oh, yes.
Good old Dean Cain. I didn't see much of it, but it was like around in the 90s.
Yeah.
My parents wouldn't have let me watch much of it because it was like soap opera-ish. Too much sex, I think, or something.
I didn't really watch it.
I remember seeing all the previews. But eventually the Justice League came along and we had a better Superman. Sorry, Dean Cain, but yes, a better Superman. Tim Daly, right? Tim Daly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And your parents probably didn't screen that one as much because it was a cartoon.
Yeah. I don't know that I watched it until I became an adult. I think I was an adult. Well, that's when it came out. In the early
I'm just joking.
2000s, right? Or did it start in the 90s?
Well, the DC animated universe started in the 90s with Batman. Then it went to Superman, Static Shock, Justice League Unlimited.
All in the 90s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Batman Beyond, and then that one about the robot.
Oh, wait. The robot?
It was a spin-off of Batman Beyond, but didn't last but maybe one season.
Huh. I don't know if I saw that one.
That's okay.
Anyway.
It's just a spin-off.
We're getting a bit long on our instant review here. So we're gonna tie this up with a bow, and tomorrow we'll come back for a longer, hopefully deeper dive. It will have spoilers, so at least it'll be deeper in that sense. Doesn't mean we're going to be any more mature or anything, you know. But that's not necessarily what a deep dive means anyway.
I can talk about Tawny. I'm kidding.
Obscure friend reference. No. Or is that a different Tommy you're talking about?
Tawny.
Oh, Tawny.
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 Tawny the
Tiger.
Tawny the Tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could go deep into that.
I just want to know, when are you going to introduce Uncle Marvel?
Oh yeah, and I will give a one-word spoiler right here at the end. Unicorns. So, tune in after these messages to find out what the hell I'm talking about. So,
if a word is plural, does that count as more than one word?
I don't know. All right. Let's. No, wait, put a cork in it. How do you? Anyway. All right, nerds. We'll be back with a deep dive.
Sayonara.
Hey nerds, Richard here, asking you to consider supporting our podcast. Just go to www.irreverentnerds.com and click on the Support This Podcast button. There you will find 3 support tiers, 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, and $9.99 a month. And nerds, check this out. Beginning in April of 2023, we will be offering rewards to anyone who supports us at the $4.99 or $9.99 tiers. So keep an ear out for that news. We will be announcing it during the first episode of April. Live long and prosper, fellow nerds, and thank you for listening. Now back to this week's episode.
Nerds.
Will and I are here for the deep dive.
Kersploosh.
And unfortunately, this one will not have video. Maybe that's okay, though. Maybe we should only do the instant reviews as video. But we were having issues with our sound quality once again. Really hard. I'm not an audio or video engineer, even though I have learned a few things over the time here. But we're here the next morning to talk about Fury of the Gods. We saw it just last night and did our instant review, and now we're back to do a deep dive. And as we said, that's not a guarantee that we're going to be mature, human beings as we talk here. Doesn't mean it's going to be like deep and philosophical, although it could be. But more of like we're going to do a spoiler-filled review as opposed to yesterday's, which was more fun and spoiler-free. So, Will, I think you mentioned the first spoiler you wanted to get into was Tawny the Tiger.
Well, it's not really a spoiler, but I did joke about that, so I could explain it. In the comics, there is a anthropomorphic tiger character named Taki Tawny. Taki Tawny has gone through a few revisions during reboots and whatnot, but basically, the original Taki Tawny was given a serum by a hermit that turned him into a talking tiger that walks on 2 feet, and he came to America basically for the reason any foreigner comes to America, which is to find a better life. In which case, Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, befriends him. In some versions, he's a stuffed animal tiger that's animated only to the Marvel family, kind of like Hobbs and Calvin and Hobbes. In some versions, he's transformed into a Smilodon, a form of saber-toothed tiger by magic, but is otherwise a actual just Bengal tiger from the zoo. In our movies, in this current movie, he is a kitten.
Okay, that's the kitten that she brings home.
Yeah, she actually calls the kitten Tawny and says she has to take Tawny back home. It's only the right thing to do. Yeah, and that was just a little reference there. Not a huge spoiler or anything.
So Darla brings him home, and so she names him Tawny. Does it
Yes.
say that? Okay.
Yeah, it's actually in the film.
So it's fan service, basically. Like, hey, we're going to throw in a comic book reference that
Right.
such as ourselves or such as you would get.
Yes, and we all know that due to how far-fetched an anthropomorphic tiger is, chances of them bringing Tawny in for real are very low. Although Rocket Raccoon did work for Marvel.
This is true. Yeah, you got to get the right voice actor. Obviously, you have to get really good animators as well to make it work. So yeah, it's definitely possible. And who knows now with James Gunn running the show, him and Peter Safran, which I noticed Peter Safran actually produced this movie.
Cool.
Shazam Fury. Well, I think the original Shazam. And yeah, I guess this one as well. Shazam Fury of the Gods. So his production companies are New Line Cinema, DC Studios, and the Safran Company. So I don't know if that's how, because James Gunn obviously did the Suicide Squad and then the Safran Company. I don't know how long they've been involved with DC Studios, but obviously at least with the 2 Shazam movies. So maybe in a sense, that's where Warner Brothers got to see what both those guys could do, and that's why they're in now and involved, and hopefully will improve things. Yeah.
Cool.
I hope.
We'll
see.
We all hope.
Yeah, like I enjoyed the second one not as much, but I enjoyed both of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and I did enjoy the Suicide Squad. I thought it definitely superior to the first Suicide Squad movie.
This is true.
To be honest, I don't even remember who directed the first one. Do you?
No, but I actually remember that film better than I remember the first Shazam film. But I think anyway, no, I don't know who directed that.
And it wasn't terrible. Like I enjoyed it as a DC entry, but yeah, the one that James Gunn did was definitely superior. I think it's fair to say.
Yes. Because Starro.
Yeah.
And a giant shark.
Yeah, whenever you got head-sized, face-sucking starfish coming out of the armpits of a giant intergalactic starfish who dies by getting impaled through his massive eyeball. Yeah, James Gunn is going to be involved.
I thought the rats killed him.
Oh.
We're spoiling multiple movies now.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't done a review of the Suicide Squad, but it's been out long enough. It's like, and this is, of course, a spoiler-filled review of Shazam. So we'll try not to spoil too many other things, though. But I think Starro is probably in the trailers. I would think, although I don't remember. But yeah, that was pretty intense in the theater. I was like, it's like it kind of plays at your gag reflex, but not quite all the way. It's like he went right up to the line with it. You're like, oh, that's nasty. Anyway. So getting back to Shazam.
Well, Shazam.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, who didn't grow up watching like TV Land we were just referencing Gomer Pyle, which I looked up Gomer Pyle and Shazam, and there's already a bunch of memes out there tying him in with this. That's probably one of the things he's most known for, is that phrase, like, Shazam. He was originally on the Andy Griffith Show, of course, which is more well-known than Gomer Pyle, P.I., I think, or something
right.
like that. But yeah, you know, what's funny is, this little trivia tidbit, he's an opera singer. He's classically trained.
Huh.
I don't know if he like sang in operas legit, but like he's classically trained vocalist. So I've heard him sing, and it's just so weird seeing Gomer Pyle do that, which is probably why he didn't do a whole lot with it, because it's just so different from what he was known for. You guys got that for free.
For free.
Shazam. So we had some new characters. I think we talked a little bit about them in the first one. Obviously, you know, we had, let's see here. And my brain just drew a blank. So we had Rachel, here we go. Actress Rachel Zegler played Anthea/Anne, who, spoilers, you know, which I think they kind of, that's one thing I didn't like. It's like as soon as she showed up as a new student in the high school and immediately connected with Freddie, I was like,
yes,
she's not just a normal human. Like, I knew that right away.
I did too. I pretty much already knew she was a villain.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that she was one of the sisters. Like, I didn't know there were 3 sisters, like 3 daughters of Atlas.
Right.
I'm assuming that might have been in the comics. So, but since I hadn't read that storyline, I wasn't aware of that.
I haven't read it either.
But then we also had, obviously, Lucy Liu as Calypso, the middle daughter of Atlas, and Helen Mirren as Hespera, the oldest daughter of Atlas. And I thought it was funny that Billy Batson, i.e. Shazam, made note of the age gaps. He's like, it's a little weird.
Yeah, I love it when they get like that in fiction. Where they just notice the things the audience is already noticing. It's great.
It's like a little bit of self-awareness.
Yeah,
you know, like poking fun at itself. I thought that was cool. So yeah, and you and I were just like, as we were getting ready and getting set up here, we were just rewatching some of the first Shazam, and so I got to see Mark Strong's character again, and I can see why he was forgettable on the one hand, but he did a pretty good job. Like, it was better than I remembered. Which he's a solid actor. He does seem to play villains a lot. I was like, he comes on the screen, he's like, Sinestro?
Yeah, I was wondering why you were referencing Sinestro.
Yeah, well, isn't that, I guess technically Green Lantern is not a part of the DCEU. And he was obviously yellow and wearing a yellow lantern suit. So he looked a little different.
You mean in the Ryan Reynolds led film or just the character in general?
In the Ryan Reynolds film, he plays Sinestro.
Right. Well, it's beside the point. He was a Green Lantern up until the end credit scene. Then he turned yellow.
Oh, you're right. It's been so long since I've seen that. You were correct.
I don't think it was a terrible film, but for some reason, a lot of other people do. I mean, the suits definitely should not have been CGI, but
yeah, that was lame. I was like, why?
I was actually disappointed we didn't get a sequel with Sinestro. I was more excited about that than I was the villain of the first film.
Yeah, me too. I do have to agree. But yeah, I didn't think it was terrible. Not the greatest entry in DC lore for sure, but yeah, not the worst either. I don't think. No, Batman and Robin will forever hold that dubious status as the worst DC movie ever.
That's right. Now, I recently saw a photo. I don't know the authenticity of the photo, but a photo with completed CGI of a black Green Lantern, most likely John Stewart, supposedly from Zack Snyder's Justice League, but had to be cut because the people in power just refused to allow Green Lantern into the film.
Oh, because they had such a bad taste in their mouth from the movie, maybe?
Yeah, that's the theory going around.
Huh. Yeah, well, I know Ryan Reynolds wishes he could have that one back. to redo, not necessarily. But yeah, I love how he pokes fun at himself in Deadpool.
Yeah.
That was great. Yeah, we're crossing over to Marvel here, so we need to get back on topic.
To be fair, I get really confused these days. Watching this movie, I had to remind myself it wasn't a Marvel film.
Oh yeah, yeah, and obviously DC and Marvel copy each other so often, and there's so much crossover, and then they both draw from, I'm sure, from like Greek mythology. Like this seemed like I don't know if the Tree of Life. I don't think the Tree of Life was originally. Like, this kind of was like a mashup of mythologies.
Isn't that Norse?
You had Atlas, and then you had the Daughters of Atlas. But then you had the Tree of Life, which it comes up, I think, in multiple traditions. I don't know if the Greeks had their own version of it. They might. But yeah, like it also pops up, like you said, in Norse mythology.
Yeah.
And
the world tree.
And then obviously in the Bible as well, like in ancient Near Eastern mythology.
This is true.
Yeah, like so, but yeah, I can't think of, again, although I haven't read a lot of haven't read enough to say whether it pops up in Greek mythology or not. But I don't have a clear memory of there being a Tree of Life in that tradition.
I admit I haven't studied Greek religion. It would probably be helpful, but at the same time, I'm not aware of the religion still being a living religion.
Oh yeah. No, unless there's like a new one out, like a new uprising, or I don't know what the right word would be, new form of it. I don't know of anybody that still worships Zeus.
True. Yeah, but that's what was confusing me. We had these gods, and then suddenly I'm just thinking, oh yeah, this totally connects with Love and Thunder. Wait, wrong universe.
All right. Let's see. So I'm trying to think of what to talk about next with the Shazam film. I think, like, we both rated it. I've had some time to rethink, and I do think I'm going to give it a 3 on second day. Thinking, so I think I'm going to line up with you. Three nerd hats. So I thought about it some more, and then rewatching some more of the first one. I was like, no, this is not as good as the first one, and
that's probably true.
So I think 3 is fair. It's enjoyable, but not. Yeah, it wasn't super memorable. Like, you don't have quite the same pathos. They tried for that, but I didn't feel the same connection with like his family characters or what they were going through as I did in the first film. Even with Billy, because obviously it gets into his backstory with his mom. Like, we just saw the scene before we started recording here where he meets his real mom, and that doesn't go so great.
Yeah, followed by that awesome scene of him jumping off the building, and
oh yeah,
and that just screams comic book. Anyway, for those of you confused what I'm talking about, he jumps off the building and yells Shazam and gets hit by lightning in midair, and that just reminds me of something that would happen in the comic books.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. But I love it when they bring a comic book frame to life, or and that is something Zack Snyder is very good at, I will say.
Absolutely. I agree with you. It had been a long time since I saw the first one, but from what little I saw today before we started recording, the first one definitely had a lot of good things in it that the second one lacks. I liked how the second one just got straight into the action, though.
Yeah, which I guess might be more common with sequels. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it just didn't quite grab me the way that the first one did. I didn't have the same emotional attachment to what the characters were going through. I think they tried to do some of that with Anthea and Freddie, and it just didn't quite work for me. It's not that they had terrible chemistry necessarily. It just, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the writing or what, but it didn't quite connect with me. And maybe some of that's just I'm old and those are teenagers, but that might be part of it. But yeah, again, not terrible, but like it just didn't grab me. I didn't find myself wanting to find out what happened to the characters. And I think, to be honest, I didn't necessarily find myself invested enough in the plot to be like, what's going to happen next? I don't know. Can you speak? How did you feel about that?
Not necessarily. I felt about the same way. I mean, there was one shocking character development around the end of the film that we'll probably talk about later that I was like, well, I guess this is the last film. I guess they know the reboot's coming. We're just going to go all out now, aren't we? But then they had to go and undo it.
No. Oh, yeah. Well, do you want to go ahead and go there, or like how it ends, or
spoiler alert?
As you guys know, a lot of times our deep dives are very much flow of thought, stream of consciousness. We're not necessarily going chronologically through the film, so we're gonna jump to the end for a minute. This is definitely a spoiler. Billy dies.
Cured death.
Yeah, he legit. He did. Like, he's legit deceased.
The magical kiss of Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, brings him back to life. I'm kidding. There's no kiss.
Yeah, no, not exactly. But yeah, did that feel a little forced to you? Like, that feel like I knew after he died, given what I'd already seen in the trailer, I was like, oh, he's coming back somehow, because Wonder Woman hasn't shown up yet, and then he's interacting with her in that scene. Unless they're going to pull one of those things where they show you something in the trailer that gets cut from the final film. I was waiting for that possibility. But it's like, if that doesn't happen, then obviously he's coming back to life.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it because I didn't see the trailer, and I thought the Wonder Woman scene was the dream sequence in which Wonder Woman's head turns into the wizard, which was hilarious.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
So yeah, I was definitely surprised. Forced, probably. I mean, it wasn't super forced, but it did come out of nowhere. I mean, they did foreshadow it a little bit with Billy earlier in the film saying, hey, I wonder if I can send Wonder Woman a bird letter. But we don't know that he actually does until apparently the end there.
He's like, yeah, did you get my bird letter? He tries very awkwardly to flirt with Wonder Woman and tries to ask her out as she's going away. And that's where the scene from the trailer comes in. She's like, just stick to, what'd she say? Just stick to superhero or saving the day or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, just stick to that, kid. Because she's what, hundreds of years old.
I don't know, or more.
Or more. So, although she did fall for Bruce, so she does, and for the, dang it, Steve? The Chris Pine character.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So she has a thing for younger guys.
Well, not that young, though.
Maybe not that young, yeah.
That's one of the most hilarious things. I don't remember if it was Justice League Unlimited or where it was, but I remember some sort of awkward thing to where someone is flirting and trying to be in a relationship with Captain Marvel, Shazam here, and it's kind of awkward for him because he's kind of like, well, I'm actually a kid.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember where I saw that, but it was funny.
Now, rewinding just a little bit from the scene we just talked about, the penultimate scene. Well, I guess close enough. Like the climax, I guess, is a fair point. The scene we just talked about is part of what you would call the denouement, but to bring in some literary terms, with the climax of the film is obviously the final battle, where he fights Calypso and the dragon, which I can't remember the dragon's name. I know the dragon had a name, I think. Didn't it? I think the dragon had a name.
Specky Wood Dragon.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might have had a name.
Anyway, her and the dragon are fighting him inside the dome, under the dome, around the Tree of Life at the Philadelphia? I don't know. Maybe it's actually called the Garden, but like the Philadelphia, I guess I'm assuming it's where the Philadelphia Phillies play. I think it was like the baseball stadium there in Philadelphia.
Speaking of Calypso, though, isn't that name taken from some other religion other than Greek, or is that actually Greek too? I mean, didn't they have a Calypso in Pirates of the Caribbean?
They did, but like that thing's a whole jumbled mess. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think that looks Greek. It looks Greek, just even looking at the transliteration.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Wikipedia. Oh, here we go. Yes, Greek mythology. Calypso, she who conceals, was a nymph who lived on the island of Ogygia. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Where, according to Homer's Odyssey, she detained Odysseus for 7 years. She promised Odysseus immortality if he would stay with her, but Odysseus preferred to return home. Oh, yeah.
Well,
I do remember reading about
hard
this.
enough. He was there for 7 years.
In the Odyssey. Yeah. So she was... Well, she got him to stay for 7 years, so, like, you know, that's like, what is that, common law marriage?
Yeah.
So that's Calypso, and Hespera I'm not as familiar with. Let's see what it says. In Greek
that
mythology,
definitely sounds Greek.
The Hesperides, ancient Greek pronunciation Hesperides, are nymphs of evening and golden light sunsets, who are the daughters
that's why
of
she's older.
evening, or nymphs of the west. They were also called the Atlantides, from their reputed father, the Titan Atlas.
Ah.
Huh, interesting. So it's more her name, so it's not necessarily a specific Hespera. That's interesting. So they just chose a name that referenced Greek mythology then. Now, Anthea was one of the Charites, by the way, getting this off Wikipedia, of course. Charites, or Graces of Greek mythology, and was the goddess of swamps and flowery wreaths. How's that for a combination? Let's go to the swamp and get some flowers. She is the daughter of Zeus. Oh, they screwed that one up. She's the daughter of Zeus and I'm saying this wrong. Eurynomé. She was depicted in Athenian vase painting as one of the attendants of Aphrodite. So that's when they definitely changed. So she was a daughter of Zeus, not a daughter of Atlas. So they changed that.
She was adopted.
Could be. Either that or Zeus got cuckolded.
Which sounds very Zeus-like, though.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, the dude turned into a goose and had sex with women as a goose, which is like,
goose.
What the?
How does that work?
Exactly.
Donald Duck is packing.
There's our mildly inappropriate section for the day. Oh my goodness. All right. So getting back to the fight scene between Calypso, we got off on that tangent, which that's what we do, right? We get off on tangents. They're not irrelevant tangents most of the time.
They're irreverent tangents.
Hopefully they're always fun. We hope. We hope you have fun. But let's see what. Yeah, Calypso. The battle between Calypso and Shazam, which at that point he actually knows his name is Shazam, I think, right? Or does he tell him that at the end?
Maybe he doesn't at the very end.
Yeah, he picks it for him. So he very deliberately seals himself in, with the help of Hespera, seals himself in under the dome. No, that's not a Stephen King reference. Sorry. Seals himself in under the dome and is going to use the staff, right, basically as a bomb to hopefully, he hopes, to kill Calypso and the dragon and destroy the Tree of Life, which, if left unchecked, I think it's implied, will take over the world, basically, and remake Earth, I think was my understanding, although it wasn't made for Earth, so it was also kind of cursed poison, like Anthea talks about that. But anyway, yeah. It's going to do a lot of damage, which it already has done damage to Philadelphia at that point and killed people and spawns a bunch of nasty creatures. And so he's in this final battle, and he's basically decided to make the ultimate sacrifice. Like, he knows that he'll probably die doing it. So he gets his brief moment to talk to his family. And I definitely got vibes of Batman versus Superman, and where Superman is fighting the Abomination, right? Not the Abomination, sorry, that's not right. Dang it.
You're talking about Doomsday.
Doomsday. Superman is fighting Doomsday, and we're at the final part where he is like flying towards Doomsday, trying to basically stab him through the heart with the kryptonite thing. And, he's straining, and you get that Henry Cavill, like, where he opens his mouth really wide, and he's like, "Aah!" I definitely got some of those vibes when Shazam was flying through.
Oh, yeah.
Flying through the dragon's flames, I guess. Magical flames. And, like, flying through. And it seemed like he was also trying to use that to charge up the staff even further. That's what I gathered.
Yeah, me too.
But, like, him straining towards that and flying through that towards the villain, I definitely got echoes of. I don't know if you thought of that at all when we were watching it. But.
Well, no, Henry Cavill never popped into my head, but good eyesight there.
Well, I wonder if that was deliberate on their part, or if it's just more of by virtue of the fact that he flies as well.
Yeah, probably.
But it may have been a little bit of deliberate backshadowing, not foreshadowing, but backshadowing. If that's a word.
Well, that's a good point. Oh, shoot. I just realized we've got two different characters that die screaming with some sort of staff or spear in their hands, die, get buried, and then get brought back to life by Wonder Woman and other characters. But
yeah,
this isn't even Wonder Woman's first time bringing someone back from the dead with Superman powers.
Now, what doesn't he? I thought though, doesn't he kind of come back to life on his own?
Superman?
Well, I'm trying to remember how it goes down in Justice League. Because like at the end of Batman v Superman in the final cutscene or whatever, you see the where they show the dirt starting to float off above his casket, so you get the impression he's already coming back to life at that point.
Yeah, that might have been, that was foreshadowing, but it was incorrect. In the comics, that would have been correct, but what Zack Snyder ended up doing is they brought him to the chamber on the ship where Doomsday was created,
right?
And they had the Flash electrically charge everything in the puddle to somehow zap him back to life. I mean, it's true that he didn't suffer any decomposition.
Wow. So yeah, this is very, very similar to that. I mean, but in this case, he gets literally buried. Well, they were both buried, I guess. But
yeah, they undug Superman with grave robbers.
Whereas with this, Wonder Woman just shows up, grabs the staff, and somehow knows how to recharge it. Now, is she considered a goddess or a god?
In the Zack Snyder universe, in some of the comics, she is a god.
So my question is I know she's imbued with special powers by the gods of her. What's the name of the place she comes from? Dang it, I can't think of it right now.
The island of Themyscira.
That sounds right. But yeah, she's imbued with powers by Greek gods, I think. So I guess that makes her maybe a demigod, more accurately, kind of like a. Anyway,
yeah, it does.
For the purposes of Shazam, she refers to herself basically as a god, because a wizard bemoans the fact there are no gods left, and that was a bad Jimon Hansu impression. And then she shows up. There is one. It's is there only one? What about Superman? Couldn't he kind of? I guess he's an alien though, so he's doesn't qualify, right?
Yeah, it doesn't qualify because
he's not from Earth.
Not the same.
So he's not an earthly god, I guess.
Which they never explored that, but one of Superman's weaknesses is magic because he's not magic.
Ah.
So I guess Wonder Woman is magic now. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, because she doesn't. Other than the lasso of truth, she doesn't really have any magical properties that she displays, at least that I can think of. Obviously, she has her superpowers, but I've never really thought of her as that. So it's interesting that they brought her in. It felt a little forced. I don't know. Did it feel forced to you?
Yeah, just a little bit. I've seen worse, but it was just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the one hand, I'm why didn't you show up when the fight was going down? If you were keeping tabs on what was going on.
I thought about that the entire time.
I know. It's like with these movies, you got this massive thing going on. Like, wouldn't Batman like be monitoring the planet? You know, like from the Justice League's. I know they don't have headquarters in space in the DCEU, but like I know in the animated series they do. He's got like the floating headquarters in space. He'd be like monitoring. Wouldn't he see some kind of activity there in Philadelphia and be like, "Oh shit, we better send the Justice League."
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, he'd probably contact Superman. Superman would be like, "I'm on my way" or something.
Yeah,
or Wonder Woman.
In like 5 seconds.
Exactly.
That's where it's a little unrealistic sometimes, but you got to suspend belief, I guess, because it's all make believe anyway.
I mean, it's all about not taking away the spotlight from our main character from the story.
Yeah,
I mean, it would have been cool if like we saw just the back of their heads, so they didn't have to pay the actors. But I mean, I want them to pay the actors. I want Henry Cavill back, but is he coming back? No. Anyway. Which is not his fault at all. He certainly wanted to come back, but...
Well, I wonder, though, there's been a lot of fan outcry about that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, if there's enough of that, studios will eventually cave. Even if James Gunn doesn't want to, Warner Brothers, like, if they get enough fan backlash, there might be some arm twisting
this is
goes
true.
On behind the scenes. So you never know. You never know.
But what I'm saying is they could have had some of the Justice League members outside the dome, and they just can't get in. Just that,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole dome thing was good enough to explain why they're not helping.
That's true. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, like you said, it would take away a bit from Shazam.
I mean, I think it's near miraculous we even got Gal Gadot in this thing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I'm assuming that was probably her body double in the dream sequence because they only show her back.
Yeah.
And it did. I could kind of tell like it didn't quite look like Gal Gadot, so it was probably her body double. Because yeah. Anyway, that's a movie thing. But yeah, obviously it's definitely her at the end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking of a parallel with Chuck. It's like once again the awkward nerd. Although in the case of Chuck, she does actually fall in love with him, like the beautiful spy, Sarah, the character in Chuck. But in this case, he gets turned down. Yeah. So anyway, let's see. Before our deep dive's over, I want to get into the two cutscenes, or the two. So we have the mid-credits scene. So I thought we could talk about that first. Did you have any thoughts on the mid-credit scene? Like, how did you feel about the mid-credit scene and where it might take the story next?
Well, I remember the end credit scene with the worm is what I want to talk about. What was the scene before that? I don't remember.
Okay, so I'll let you take that one then, and then I'll jump in on the mid-credits. So the mid-credits one is where
that's right. I remember now. But go ahead.
But yeah, you have the two reps from Amanda Waller's organization. I don't remember what her organization is called. But Amanda Waller sends two people to find Shazam, and they already know his secret identity, Billy Batson.
Isn't her organization Argus?
Argus? Sounds familiar.
I mean, it could be. I don't know.
Let's see. Anyway, but yeah, she sends two reps, which I don't know if they're from a series. Anyway, they come, they find him in the woods. They're just playing around, shooting things with his lightning. He's like, bam, man, having fun. And they call out his name, and then he responds, which is kind of a dumb thing to do. It's like, Billy Batson? He's like, yeah, oh, wait. No. And he tries to pretend like it's not him. It's like, we know your name. It's like, how? How did you know our name? And they proceed to ask him, basically recruit him into what he at first thinks will be the Justice League. They just say the name. Would you like to be a part of the Justice? And he jumps in. He's like, yes, absolutely. Like, it's like wherever Wonder Woman's gonna be, that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
But then he finds out that it's the Justice Society, not the Justice League. which I like. Once again, it kind of poked fun at itself, where he's like, "Is that kind of confusing? Like, you have the Justice Society and you have the Justice League. You have two things with the name Justice. Like, can you pick something different, like the Authority League or
the Code
the Avengers Society?" He's like, "I like that for some reason."
And that was actually another reference. When he said Authority, then he said Code. He was talking about the Comics Code Authority.
Okay.
Which probably existed back when Fawcett was releasing Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel Adventures, etc. Which I'm only going to take a second to say that I liked how the high school was called Fawcett High School after the publishing company.
Yeah, see, my first thought was Farrah Fawcett. I didn't know there was a publishing company called Fawcett, but yeah, I like that. That reference makes more sense. I was like, why are they putting a Farrah Fawcett reference in here? It's like, does the director just have the hots for Farrah Fawcett back in the day or whatnot? I mean, cool, but yeah, that makes so much more sense. So the Justice Society was, at least as far as the DCU is concerned, was introduced in Black Adam. You know, they play a pretty prominent, very prominent role in that film. But then Dr. Fate, right? Isn't his name Dr. Fate? Dies.
Yes.
Basically sacrifices himself there at the end. So they have an opening, so to speak, for another superpowered individual. And it's interesting that I'm trying to remember if Amanda Waller was already involved with the Justice Society in that movie. I don't remember her popping up until the end credits.
Well, she called them in earlier in the film.
Okay.
But I'm confused about her association with the Justice Society because I'm fairly certain her Suicide Squad using villains is her thing. I'm confused about that, if that has some sort of precedent in the comic books, because in the comic books, the Justice Society was around during like World War II or something, the World Wars, and basically ceased to exist by the time Justice League was founded.
So it's kind of like League of Nations preceded the United Nations kind of thing. It's like this came first, and then we upgraded, or slash, not upgraded, but like new version Justice League.
Yeah, and that's why seeing trailers of Black Adam, I was confused what time period the movie was going to take place in, because, and I was also confused with the timeline of the DCEU, the canon continuity, because in my mind, Justice Society is World War I, World War II. I mean, in the comics, if I'm not mistaken, Wonder Woman is a member of the not the DCU. The Wonder Woman is the member of the Justice Society before she becomes a member of the Justice League, and so is the original Flash with the Mercury helmet.
Okay.
And the Alan Scott Green Lantern? I mean, some of this might be incorrect. I mean, I haven't read all the comic books, but this is kind of what I gathered.
Yeah, sorry, I just lost train of thought because I was looking at something on Wikipedia. All right, you're gonna have to jump back in.
Yeah. Old Richard saw a picture of a Wonder Woman and his mind went blank.
No, I was looking for some info on the end cut scenes here. It does mention. Okay, so. Let's see. Reprising their DCEU roles on the film while uncredited, Gal Gadot appears as Diana Prince, Wonder Woman, alongside Jennifer Holland as Amelia Harcourt, and Steve Agee as John Economos in the mid-credit scene. So they must be. I'm guessing that Harcourt and Economos, they must have been in the Peacemaker series, maybe, because I haven't seen them in anything else that I can think of. Unless they were in the Suicide Squad. Actually, you know what? I think they might have been in the Suicide Squad, now that I think about it. Because obviously, Waller definitely plays a big part in that.
Right.
Yeah, I think they were. I think yep. They were both in the Suicide Squad. Okay. I thought they looked a little familiar, but I wasn't entirely sure. Okay. Cool. So that's a tie into the Suicide Squad. So that's nice. So you got Peter Safran. I don't know if he decided on that, but like you got to tie into James Gunn's film. So let's see. So now you want to talk about the final scene?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So in the theater, Richard and I are the only ones left. Everyone else is left because no one else cares about any credit scenes, apparently.
Well,
and
we were also the only 2 people in the theater.
That's what I meant. But
the entire time.
The entire time?
We were the only 2 people in there.
No, I swear.
It was a Monday night, so yeah, it was just us.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought there were other people in there when we got in there.
No,
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It was my imagination. I'm seeing things, Richard. Go check my prescriptions, buddy.
We did come in right after it began, so it was dark. In fairness to you, but no, I don't think anybody left, so it was just us in there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so I was talking with Richard about how you remember that cutscene after the first Shazam where Dr. Savannah and Mr. Mind, the caterpillar character from the comics, meet in the prison.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not what this movie is about at all. And they just had that to foreshadow a future movie, and nothing happened. And I said, shoot, hold on.
Will forgot to silence his phone.
Yep, sorry.
Tisk.
Anyway, so I started referencing all the other DCEU in credit cutscenes that never came to fruition and saying, you know, what if this Amanda Waller Justice Society in credit scene doesn't come to fruition? You know, the reboot's about to happen, and I'm just picking about that. And then all of a sudden, there's another in credit scene where we see Dr. Savannah in the prison, and the caterpillar, Mr. Mind, comes back, and Dr. Savannah's been like, "It's been 2 years. Where were you?" The caterpillar's like, "I have more I need to do. It will take time."
Yeah, he's like, "I got one more thing." And he's like, "Why did it take you so long?" And he's like, "Well, I have to walk everywhere, and I'm tiny, so it takes me a long time.
I have no arms or legs."
I don't think he had a German accent, but like, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to be like robotic.
Yeah.
I don't know. He has more of a Stephen Hawking accent, but anyway, so I was like, finally some payoff with another in credit scene. So I don't know if there will ever be anything about that, but it's just really funny how they at least reference that in credit scene with another in credit scene. And for those of you who don't know, Mr. Mind in the comics is a caterpillar from the planet Venus. He is an alien who has telepathic abilities. He's a super genius. I don't know how he forms the Monster Society of Evil, which is what he's trying to form, being only a caterpillar, but he somehow does. He can mind control people. Maybe that's how he does it.
That would make sense.
He is valued for his super genius, his tactician-ish qualities. I completely screwed the grammar up there.
So he's, according to Wikipedia, a 2-inch alien caterpillar of high intelligence with telepathic powers, who usually carries out his villainous plans through an organization called Monster Society of Evil.
So, will we get... What do you think, Richard? Will we get a Monster Society of Evil Shazam movie? Or no?
I don't know. Hopefully. Let's see.
I hope so, too. I hope we continue with this multiverse thing.
Looks like he was... Oh, it says here in both movies he was voiced by the director, David Sandberg.
Cool.
That's funny. So he appears in the DC Extended Universe. So we'll have to look that up and see. And I imagine it's still consideration in progress. But given that both Shazam movies are produced by Peter Safran, I'd say we have a better chance of that than, say, the next Aquaman movie actually happening. Because I don't think they've begun production on that, so I could see that getting canceled.
Yeah.
But this, given that it is produced by Peter Safran already,
and he's got a relationship, obviously, with the director, David Sandberg. I think there's a good chance of that. Although, it depends. Money's always an issue, and it depends on how Shazam performs.
Yeah.
It didn't have a very strong opening for a superhero movie. I think it only made $30 million. The first weekend, compare that to Ant-Man, which I think did $100 million or so in the first weekend. But sometimes what happens with these films is like they catch on and they have like a nice steady performance. They end up making, I'm guessing right now it's going to be like a 400 or 500 million, DC, which it'll probably still make a profit, but not a lot. But yeah, if it can get up to the 400, 500 million, I'd say there'd be a good chance it'll get another entry in the series. But if it bombs, then it's hard to say. So unfortunately, that is an issue.
Yeah.
Now if it's like a pet project of Peter Safran, unless it like lost a lot of money, my guess is he might still follow through with it. But it just depends. I don't know how invested he is personally in it, or if it's just his production company. He is listed as a producer in both films. So.
True. Well, I take this second post-credit scene with Mr. Mime, the Caterpillar, and Dr. Savannah as kind of like a tongue-in-cheek joke about how we're probably never going to see these characters come to fruition. But I could be wrong. Hopefully we do get a Shazam 3, no matter if it's Monster Society of Evil or what it is.
Yeah, no, I would like to see that. And I'm hoping, again, this movie wasn't terrible. It was not as good as the first Shazam for me. I think I would give the first Shazam, I'd give it a 4, maybe a 3.75. Because it's very well directed. I think it's well paced. The plot organization is good. Like, the flow is good with the movie. There's pathos in it. Like, you care about the characters, and so you have the connection to the backstory. And it's funny too. Like, we both laughed several times as we were rewatching.
Oh yeah.
Here just an hour or so ago. So yeah, but yeah, this one definitely didn't hit quite as well. So yeah, we'll see. But no, I wouldn't mind seeing another one because I like the universe. It's I think it's different enough from some of the other DCU stuff that they could probably still work it in. But if they're gonna do a complete reboot, who knows? But no, we do have maybe the Flash movie will tell us some things about that because you got the multiverse. So obviously they can always play around with that and have like a standalone film. It's like, well, it's part of the multiverse. And then you have the main storyline taking place in an alternate universe.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that it allows the James Gunn's DCU to play with several different continuities simultaneously without needing to bridge them together.
I hope so. Well, guys, we're coming up on the 2 or 3 minute mark here on our deep dive, so we're gonna kind of wrap it up. So again, we both enjoyed this film. It was an enjoyable trip to the theater. You got enough of the popcorn fare to make it. I still don't like spending $14 on a movie ticket, I must say.
And even less on the $20 popcorn.
Yeah, no, which we did not get this time around. Because ticket prices just over the last few months went up a couple bucks since the last time we were at the theater. Actually, I think we went to Marketplace for Ant-Man. So the time before that, I guess Avatar. When we went to see Avatar, ticket prices were about $2 cheaper. So they've gone up, which may not bode well for. But then I think everything's going up. Like I've seen several other things. It's inflation. Anyway, we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
You don't come here for economics, right? No, that's not why we're here. We're here to help you not think about economics and politics and all that, even though we did get into politics a little bit in our last episode.
Today on Irreverent Nerds, a man with ADHD tells you economics.
Today we're going to talk about macroeconomics, and tomorrow we will discuss microeconomics, and the theories of Adam Smith versus the theories of Karl Marx. And here we go. Let's do it.
That's probably more interesting than a man with ADHD telling you how to spend your money and or do your taxes, because that would probably just result in economic ruin.
How about two men with ADHD?
Ha 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 ha! I forgot.
No, Will is, well, you've been like officially diagnosed, and
yeah,
I have not, but I'm pretty sure I have a version of it as well.
I tried doing my own taxes one time, and after 4 hours, I gave up.
No, I have been able to get that done, although H&R Block software helps a lot, I will say. So plug for H&R Block. Hey, you guys want to be a sponsor? Hey.
Yeah.
How about this
We'll
year?
take your
this
money.
Time next year. Yeah, we'll take your money. Actually, right now. Why not right now? You still got another month in tax time. So, hey.
That's right.
Anyone who happens to be listening, if you work for H&R Block, let us know. I know it has almost nothing to do with what we talk about, but hey, everybody needs to do their taxes, right? So you could literally advertise on anything, and it would be applicable in America, right?
We can increase our time slot to 2 hours, and like over half of that can just be commercials.
As long as we get paid for it. No one would want to listen to us if we had that many advertisements.
I know, I'm just joking.
All right, nerds. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. So next week, this is the plan. I don't know if anything's going to change at this point, but we are going to have a couple of Dan
Cool.
Johnson's friends on to talk about horror films. And these are guys who have actually, I think both of them, right, have been in horror films themselves. Not like necessarily big budget horror films, but horror films nonetheless, like completed movies that actually got released, right?
Well, isn't one of them the director or something?
It could be. But yeah, we're gonna have them on as guests, and this will be kind of a bonus episode because this week we have 5 Wednesdays in a month. So our normal 4 topic rotation, we have an extra Wednesday in a month. So we're gonna throw in kind of a bonus episode because horror is not technically a part of our cycle of topics, even though it can fit in there. Like when we did Aliens, because you can have horror, sci-fi, or but. Needless to say, so keep an ear out and an eye out for that coming next week. All right, nerds. Until next time.
Sayonara.
Live long and prosper. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Irreverent Nerds podcast. If you would, consider following us on Instagram. We are there at irreverent_nerds. You can also hit us up on Facebook. Just look us up there at The Irreverent Nerds. That's our fan page. We have a YouTube channel as well. Once again, The Irreverent Nerds. Nice and simple, right? And if you go to www.irreverentnerds.com, that will send you to our Podcasters for Spotify, formerly Anchor.fm, profile, where you can send us a voice message if you want to, support us financially, or listen to the podcast. It will also direct you to other places you can listen, like Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, you name it. So, comment, subscribe, follow, all those good things, wherever you find us, wherever you listen to us, we would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, nerds, live long and prosper. Avengers assemble! I'm Batman.